sit back.
Hi, I'm Danny Knightmare, and as you can see, I like cool stuff, and I like cool t-shirts. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by the Etsy shop T-shirts and stuff. And if you got a dark side like myself, I recommend the Dark Ones Closet on Etsy as well. Come on, who doesn't like cool shirts and cool shit? Use the code HORROR13 and save 13% off your order. Would I ever steer you wrong? Hi, I'm Danny Knightmare.
I'm Gory B Movie.
And we're Horror Addicts. And Skinamarink a dink a dink.
Skinamarink you do.
I love you.
I don't love this movie.
Yeah, I can't say I love this movie. Wow, this movie. There's a lot to unpack.
It's a movie.
Directed and written by Kyle Edward Ball, and I bet he had a ball making this.
Did he though?
I don't know. And, you know, it stars...
We're having lighting problems.
It almost feels like it's found footage, but it's not found footage. I'm not sure what, like, they're going for on that.
I felt bad for whoever found it.
Yeah, like, because who's filming if it is found footage? Like... Okay. And never pay attention to, like, the camera. They just turn it on, and I don't know. Alright, it's got a little Kaylee and her brother Kevin, who are never fully... What? Oh, you got one right there.
Oh, yeah. Hook a girl up, bro.
I already did. What up, Afro Whale?
Sup, Afro Whale? Ow!
This movie, I'm not sure, is in tune with nature, though, Afro Whale. I'm not sure. It's tuned in a different dimension, I think. Different dimension where this passes as cinema. It's like... Have you ever... I don't know if a lot of generations will get this, but have you ever been forced to watch, like, your parents, friends, like, old, like, just footage, like, just random found, like, footage that they have of them on vacation or just doing weird stuff? It kind of feels like that, but someone filmed it from the floor and aimed it at the wall, and you caught some feet now and then.
It's kind of like when you caught your kid playing with the camcorder.
Yeah, and then you watch to see what they... You know, they filmed. I mean, there is some creepy stuff in here. Kaylee and Kevin are alone to find that their parents and all the doors and all the windows have just kind of boop, disappeared. Yeah? You got anything to say about that?
When you're done, it's your show.
All right. Go ahead.
I think you're being a little harsh.
Well, probably.
But I love you. You're still sexy.
It's a weird noise.
I mean, look, you're literally smoking.
Did you find that noise to be scary?
Okay, so specifically what he's talking about is, as you can see by the premise, we're not spoiling stuff for you guys. The doors and windows are gone. They blink out of existence.
Yeah,
and what is goofy about it is when it happens, there's like a theremin, like an old Plan 9 from outer space sound that happens. It's just really ridiculous, and it's really hard to take seriously. Here's something I will say. So Danny and I watched this for the first time together, and we hated it. We couldn't stay awake.
Well, I stayed awake. It
was
a chore.
I'll speak for myself. I hated it. I couldn't stay awake. I didn't think it was at all creepy, and I thought we were doing our best. You know, we watched it in the dark. We didn't talk through it. But then I thought, you know, one of the problems I had is I couldn't hear half of what they were saying. And so we had the captions on. It does have hard-coded subtitles, but it's not for everything they say. It's not consistent. So we had the captions on. But I thought, you know, this is something that really needs to be watched with quality sound, theater sound, surround sound, headphones. So I gave it another shot. The next day, I watched it by myself, in the dark, in front of my computer. So I'm like within a foot of the screen, which I think helped. And I'm wearing headphones. This time, much more immersive, much more effective. There's one part in particular where what this movie does really well, it's kind of like with the Paranormal Activity movies, you know? It's really, 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 really quiet. You're looking like, well, what's going on? What's going on? And then boom, there's a visual in front of your face and there's a loud noise and you really jump. I will say, there's no reason for this to be 2 hours long.
Oh, God, it is way too long.
Why is it 2 hours long? This could have been a really cool, artsy short.
Like 15, 20 minutes tops. I would have probably loved it.
And I think my biggest problem with it is it's really pretentious. It's like, I'm going to intentionally make this really grainy footage, and I'm going to put nonsense on the screen. Like once more, it says like 527 days, and nobody knows what this means. I don't know what this means. It's not how long the kid's been there, unless my thought, I'll get to that in spoilers. I'll give you my theory on what's going on in the spoilers. But it's grainy found footage, and that makes sense that the kids were filming themselves because they were scared, but this is supposed to look like a nightmare. And you know what? My nightmares have better production value than this.
There's a nugget for sure to be had if you dig deep and get away. Yeah, there's she fell asleep the first time, and she kind of wake up and be like, this damn movie still. That's basically
I was like, this sucks, change it.
And I was just trying to pay attention, and not much happens, but there are some creepy moments. I think there's a good 20 minutes, if not maybe a little more, of good creepy storytelling. But there's a lot of filler in between of that kind of stuff. And I think a good 20-minute movie would have been great instead of all that filler.
I like certain images. I like faces without eyes and stuff on them. That's creepy. There's one point where someone tells someone to look under the bed, and you just know, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't look under the bed in the dark because monsters live down there.
Right.
All right? I ain't looking to get myself killed, guys.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That was a good creepy scene. He sees the parents on the bed. They're not facing him. He can't see their face, but they're like, look under the bed, all creepy voice, and he hesitantly does.
You guys also, if you watch my show, know I love old cartoons. They're watching a lot of really old cartoons. At one point, they got a Betty Boop on there. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. And I love that the kids are trying to cope. Their parents aren't around. They don't know what's happening, so they're just distracting themselves. They're going to play with their Legos. They're going to watch cartoons.
They're having a sleepover down in the living room.
I still just don't see why this couldn't have had, why we can't see the kids' faces. Because seeing how terrified these children are, seeing them crying, seeing their eyes be really scared, I think that would have made the movie better for me.
Yeah, I think I would have maybe cared and, been more frightful for them. But you can hear them scream in pain once in a while. You can hear them talking to each other, but it's not good. Like I said, you'll catch a foot or someone will run across the screen. You'll see a little bit of their whatever.
But we really don't know Kaylee or Kevin as characters. And what's really confusing is we don't really know what's going on. I'm going to give you guys my theories in a little bit. What's up? I'm going to give you guys my theories in a little bit. But you need to have the captions on. Not just the hard-coded subtitles. I watched this on Shudder. Turn on the captions. Because you can't see anything, you're really relying on the audio cues. So if you don't hear the car leave in the beginning, you don't know that Dad just took Kevin to the hospital. This is the first 5 minutes. There's a couple places in there where it sounds like the entity, whatever it is just growling. A couple times it's actually saying something, but they don't hard code that part. There's another part where a kid screams. We can't see which kid it is. The captions will tell you which kid it is.
What up, Brad H? Yeah, this is on Shudder, so you can definitely check it out.
Ooh, my bits are in the chat.
Gory bits in the chat. That's good to know. I always have captions on anyways. Okay, yeah, you definitely want all the captions on this. You want to be not distracted.
If you can watch this with headphones, that was a much better experience. So either if you don't have quality surround sound in your house, and I don't, put on some headphones. I think you're going to get a lot more out of this. You have to watch this in the dark, and honestly, I think you might be better off watching it by yourself.
Yeah, and don't be tired. Put in drink some caffeine.
Yeah, I watched this.
It's gonna be a bit of a chore, somewhat, but you'll get the best out of it if you're paying full attention to it.
I love me some Tubi movies.
Yeah, Tubi.
I watched a Tubi movie today. I watched what the heck was it called? Fury of the Devil. Like
Shudder, Tubi, like Netflix. Especially horror.
A lot of good stuff's on Tubi. I watched Santa Sangre earlier this month on Tubi. I watched Tag on Tubi. I watched a lot of the movies on Tubi.
Those are both good movies.
A lot of great movies are on Tubi, dude.
Exactly. So, and
they're not up in their game.
They're not too bad with their ads. I mean, you get stuck here and there, but a lot of times you go on.
Oh, I guess technically I could have watched it on Tubi. I watched it on Vudu Free today, but it's all the same thing, guys.
Yeah. Ever watch Tubi movies? their actual
Oh,
movies.
their originals? Like their
Yeah.
Terror Train? Yeah, no, because I don't hate myself that much.
I remember like a long time ago when Prime was
I'm
having its
gonna
originals,
sneeze.
and Prime's originals were awful. But then Prime got better.
Duna Matata. I spared you. That's love.
Thank you.
Because Valentine's Day, I think that's coming up soon.
Oh, I have a Valentine's Day present for you. Maybe I'll give it on our next stream.
Ooh, for them?
No, I'll give it to you just on our next stream. Come back and watch what we see
Ew.
of the Requiem. But yeah, so Skinamarink.
Idink.
It does take me back to my childhood because I remember the Elephant Show and I remember them singing that all the time.
I think what this would have made this better is we need to connect to these kids, and to really feel scared for these kids, we need to connect to them. So if they chose to pick your protagonist character or switch between the two like the movie does, but then show it, from Kevin's point of view, show it over his shoulder or Kaylee's over their shoulder, but let us see the other child, because I think seeing these kids scared in the dark, lit only by the TV, would have been really scary. There's also absolutely no reason for this to be an analog movie. Like, none. It doesn't make any damn sense. You could still have your funky camera angles and stuff, but it doesn't need to be so grainy unless you're trying to hide the fact that you really don't have a budget, which it could be. Certain scenes in this do look a little bit creepier because you can't really make out what's going on, but it didn't really ever scare me. I got a little creeped out. But
There's a couple of creepy scenes, but nothing scary, like I said.
I think there's one scene in particular, the one where he finds his sister. That one kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, like I said, you could tell the same story. You could cut it down to 25 minutes or so and have all the creepy good scenes and get rid of all that filler.
Yeah, my pet monster does rock. What?
I'm not saying some of those scenes in a way. If you're really paying attention, there is a story there, but
See, that's the thing. After a while, like that sums it up. This is very student film. This is like, I'm trying too hard to impress you with how smart I am. This is very artsy fartsy. And I'm a B movie kind of gal, hence the name. I'm a Critters 2 kind of gal. So a lot of this artsy fartsy shit, unless you have a good story or you have something really chilling, like I'm fine with nightmare imagery and stuff. I've seen some movies that do that really well. But this movie, it just was way too long, and a lot of it just didn't work for me.
like how to make a creepy pasta without writing a script. Like,
Kind of that's what it felt like.
I don't want to write one out. I'll just show one.
Yeah.
That analog thingy, like you said, with all the grainy footage, that reminds me of like the opening music for the Wonder Years, where they filmed on a Super 8, and there's like they play the song "What Would You Do," but it's like watching someone's old home videos, but just their kid filmed it, and then they told, "Hey, look how bright my kid is. Look at his cool movie he made." I mean, there's a little more to it than that. But
I
that's
just think,
some of the feeling
like
I get from
the
it.
analog, especially supposed to hide some stuff towards the end. But just a lot of this would have been so much better if you could see what was going on.
Cheers to Fears, I agree. That's probably exactly why they were doing it. But that's the thing. There wasn't anything actually there. A lot of times you're looking around. Like Paranormal Activity usually paid off if you pay attention more. This, when it wants to show it to you, it's right in your face. It'll be like, bam, and there it is.
And
there's nothing really hidden.
that's what I think doesn't work about this, because I can't connect to this. I've never lived in a world where the things I'm seeing in the dark are fuzzy. So unless I'm supposed to be looking at this like I'm watching a camcorder tape, I don't get what the point is. When I was a kid, I remember sitting there being afraid of the dark, looking into the blackness, seeing shapes on the wall. We had this one wall that was like pine wood, so it looked like eyes in the dark. But it wasn't fuzzy, bad television look. It was dark.
Or if you had like a painting, but the eyes were white and bright, so those were like the only things you could see in the dark.
They have a scene in there, and you know what? That would have been just as effective if it wasn't filmed on analog. I think the analog was a huge mistake, because it doesn't look like how, when you're in the dark, that's not how things look. You want to connect to this like how you connected to being afraid of things as a child.
Yeah, and Cheers to Fears, and hey, welcome popping the popcorn. But
Katie!
Cheers to Fears, I agreed. This one thing we can say that's definitely good about this movie is we had a lot to talk about after we've seen it. Like, there is a lot going on.
Oh, we're going to talk about our theories?
Yeah, we're gonna get into the spoilers real quick here. First, Okay, I used to have like a DVD projector when they first came out. I got it at Radio Shack, and it was like very rare to have. And I'd constantly play like movies like Nosferatu, White Zombie, and like Night of the Living Dead just in the background in my room or my house, depending. I just like point the projector, and it would just play kind of in the background all the time. This would have been a great film for those days, I would have to say.
You know what this is cool? This would be a good thing for? Like Halloween, kids are trick-or-treating, you don't have time to sit down and watch a movie, but you want something creepy playing, or you got like a haunted house and kids are walking through a room. There you go.
Because sometimes people just put kind of creepy images on projectors or, spooky music. I think this has that atmosphere. It is perfect for like a haunted house type thing like that. Or if you're just having an artsy gallery and you want people to walk around and be like, oh, that looks artsy.
This movie really requires you to do a lot of work to make it work.
It gives you so much homework.
There are so many movies that I can watch them in broad daylight and they are still scary because they have good characters, they have good production. Those are, I think, the really great movies. You can watch The Shining in the middle of the day, and it's still The Shining. Is it scarier at night? Sure.
Of course it is,
but it's still the freaking Shining. Yeah. This movie in the middle of the day is just boring. You have to do the work. You have to make sure it's pitch black. It's best if you're alone, and wear some headphones.
People thought, like, the Blair Witch got the motion sickness. This might as well. Like, it's hard to make out, and like I said, it's not even hiding anything actually interesting. You'll stare at that like background thinking something good's gonna happen. No. When they want you to see the spooky thing, it'll pop up plain as day.
I want to share theories.
Alright. But right before we get there, should you see it?
I'm gonna give this a proceed with caution.
I'm gonna say it works as a great piece of art, but for me it just falls short as cinema because it gives you so much homework. I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, because they didn't want to sign up for homework. They wanted to watch something spooky and easy. Some people really like that challenge, and I think those are the people that love this movie. They're like, ooh, yes, let me analyze this. And there is a lot to unpack and talk about, but for the most people, I think most of, even horror movie audiences are going to probably be better off to skip this.
I'm going to say proceed with caution. There is a small audience, 20% of you are going to watch this under the right circumstances and be creeped the hell out. And it's going to be it's going to be really effective for you, and it's going to be awesome. 75% of you will be bored. You won't be interested in all the artsy-fartsiness of it all. But if you like kind of weird experimental things and you want to see something kind of different and you're really creeped out by like paranormal things, this might just tickle you. But you will be in the minority because I think most of you, like I said, are going to be really, really bored. But, under the right circumstances, it does have a couple scares.
It's for certain people. I'm just giving it a skip it because I think it's going to be not for most people.
See, that's why I made it proceed with caution.
Yeah,
what?
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm glad I watched it, but at the same time, I felt like it took a lot of my time away that I won't get back.
Yeah, I am glad I watched it, and it's really, really hard to scare me, and I love this movie because there was one part in there where I'm like this far from the computer screen, right where I'm sitting here now, and I legitimately jumped, and then I even thought about turning down the sound just because it kind of creeped me out.
I still think, if this was under a half hour, it'd be better because the parts that even you talk about and you really think about, there's about 25 minutes of that.
I mean, think about it like this way, Cheers for Fears. It's kind of almost like, it's like a video game. So if you're willing to do the work, this movie will reward you. Mm-hmm. But if you're not wanting to do work, if you just want to throw a movie on, this is not for you. If you do the work, this is honestly, you know what this is like? It's kind of like playing a horror survival game. If you love games like Resident Evil and stuff, where you just walk around empty corridors for forever, I like that kind of thing. But I need to be in the right mindset, and I need to, be alone for all these things to be effective for me. So if that's your kind of bag and you're willing to do the work, I do think this is worth a watch.
I just feel like I wish for that work you could get like better endings and like unlock some stuff. Like, how they have interactive movies like sometimes on Netflix where it's like, make them do this, make them do that. Maybe this would have been good for that. And then you could have got like a fun ending, or you could have got a boring ending or a bad ending. I
want to clarify, this is absolutely not a mainstream movie. This is not a movie I would ever show my mother or just an average moviegoer. This is like not even for general horror movie audiences. This is like for a niche horror movie audience. But, I know a lot of you guys, watch this show. I like all kinds of horror. So, I think I fit into that. I think I got something out of this. But I think a lot of you're going to be like, wow, that was 2 hours that I ain't going to get back.
I feel like that about 2/3 of the movie. The other third, I'm glad I witnessed it. I am
So-
a horror addict, so...
It's kind of like, I don't want you guys thinking that you're going to go on a fun tube ride when what you're really going to be doing is paddling upstream for 2 hours. Okay, this movie is work. And if you want to put in the work, you know, then check it out. But otherwise, if that doesn't sound like your bag, like you just want to be entertained, like just avoid this one.
Yeah. All right, now let's move on to the spoilers. There will be.
Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo.
How do you make it red?
Well,
Did I mess it up? Probably did.
I don't know what you did.
I guess it's not red anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there it is, just the poster. Boop. Our window disappeared. Our poster disappeared. It was probably the Skinamarink.
I don't know what you did.
Oh, well. I mean, it looked good earlier, but I guess I'm the one who did it, so.
Just you start talking about stuff. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, we're going to get into spoilers. So, a lot of people already have their endings explained on it, and a lot of them are already very different from each other, so.
Yeah, but my one's the right one, so.
Yours is the right one?
Mine's the right one.
There we go. Perfect. Spoilers are up. You've been warned. It's time to give you our theories and how this all plays out. Well, somebody gonna get shanked.
Hurry up with your theory.
No, I don't have a theory. Go ahead.
Do I got theories for you? So, everyone is saying like the same damn thing, that this kid's in a coma. That is not true, all right? If you read that somewhere, it's BS, because I paid attention to this movie. I'm going to tell you 2 things that break that theory down. One, Dad takes Kevin to the hospital in the beginning. Kevin doesn't even need stitches. So they would be able to tell whether or not he was concussed. He can't get concussed after the fact. He falls down the stairs at the very beginning. So he doesn't have a concussion. They would have figured that out.
No stitches. That means he was not a stitch on the Skinamarink. He kept his mouth quiet.
It's snitch. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What up, Kevin? Hi by horror.
I almost did that, boy. I don't know, because I watched PG. I watched PG Gorman the other day.
Boy.
Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So that's not accurate at all. He is not in a dang coma. The other one I've heard is that he might be dead. How does that work for both siblings? And why would they give you the inciting incident of him falling down the stairs? This is what I think is going on. There is an entity in this house. And the entity it basically wants to play with him. And it even says that, I want to play with you, play with me. But this is an evil kind of entity, and it's like a child, and that it has 0 patience. So I'm assuming that in the night, it tried to play with Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad didn't play. It gets frustrated throughout the course of the movie with Kaylee. Kaylee doesn't follow the rules. And it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. So it's almost like that child in Twilight Zone, the movie.
Blips things out of existence.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like this anymore. So it's almost like a child entity. And it might be a child's ghost or something. But the reason I'm on this, for the most part, is there's a scene towards the end where the cartoon is looping over and over and over again. And then you see the blood in the hall looping, which, by the way, that is Kaylee. It's not Kevin. If you have captions on, it says older child screams. So I think what it's doing, it's like treating them like they're toys. It's like, wow, it was fun to splatter Kaylee. Let's do it again. And let's do it again. It's just kind of seeing what it can do. And it's that kind of creepy, evil child persona. When you think of kids who pull the wings off of flies, that's what this entity is. And so it's playing with them in kind of a loop. It's just taking them apart, putting them back together again, and it's going by cartoon rules. So in a cartoon, you can throw Wile E. Coyote off a canyon and he's alive, and then you can go do something else that's fun with Wile E. Coyote in your cartoon. That's what this entity's doing. It's like, I'm going to make this kid stab himself in the eye. I'm going to explode Kaylee. I'm going to take away her face. And then I'm going to try this. It's just, it's playing with the children for entertainment.
I think it's also like learning from them. It might not even be human. It might just be something that learns from the kids. So it sees them playing with toys and cartoons. And so it does kind of the same thing. It like mimics that type of behavior because it's fun. It also gets rid of the doors and the windows because it doesn't want them to leave. Gets rid of the toilet because technically the toilet is an exit. Maybe it doesn't understand that children can't, exit through a toilet, but it does leave the house.
Kevin, gross.
Right?
Kevin in the movie, where he goes, gross.
So it takes away toilets because you could technically get something out of the house through a toilet.
I think it's trying to, kind of control them and stuff.
Exactly. I don't think it's like saying you can't go to the bathroom. It just doesn't want things to go without its permission.
Cheers for Fears, I don't think this is a nightmare. The children are awake, and it keeps telling them, this entity is like an impatient child. That's why it tells them, wake up, I want to play with you, and then it has fun playing with them. It'll make them stab themselves in the eye, go to this room, do this, creep them out, and then it gets bored, and it'll say, go to sleep. This entity is like an impatient child. And it's just treating them like they're toys, like they're cartoon characters. If it destroys them, if it kills them, it just puts them back together again because it has these kind of abilities.
It's not a bad theory.
It's a lot like Twilight's in the movie with that kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's happening in real life. And also they show the house from the outside. So it's showing that they are trapped there. They're isolated. So.
And at one point, they I think it's just not paying attention, and they're able to make a phone call. But no help ever shows up.
No, the kid says later on, you tricked me.
Oh.
It's the entity on the phone.
Okay, so they did make
They
a phone
never,
call.
ever talk to anybody outside of the house. The entity, again, it's a game. The entity is entertained by it. And I think that's why I got bored with the parents, because I don't think they were scared enough. They were probably like, what the hell is going on? But the kids get scared, and it likes that. So it plays these little games with them.
Yeah. Either way, it's just having fun. That's kind of what I gathered from it.
Think of it like kind of like a childlike god or demon that's basically just playing house with this, and they're like the dolls in the house.
Yeah.
It will pull off their head and put the head back on, and pull off the head and put it back on. It's just this really evil childlike entity or demon, whatever you want to, think of it as, that's basically just treating these children like they're toys.
There's tons of action figures and dolls where you can remove the head and put it right back on. So, I mean...
But it's only fun when the kids are scared. It's only fun when the kids follow the rules. It's very temperamental. So that's why I got frustrated with Kaylee. I think that's why I got frustrated with the parents. But Kevin, he follows the rules. He does what he's told. He stabs himself in the eye. So it's just, I think that's why it says, I think 500 and something odd days. Because, and that's why the kids aren't aging, because it's basically put them in a time loop. So it can torture them for eternity.
It's basically turned their house into its own little alternate dimension where it's in charge.
Yeah.
It's Groundhog's Day in their house. Yeah, that's not a bad theory. I like that.
They're like pets. And when you think of children who get the magnifying glass and burn up the ants, what if they can make the ants alive again and do it again? That's what this entity's doing.
Now, there's a lot of theories, and you should watch it if you really want to look into it and make up your own. It's fine. I don't really know if any of them are right or wrong. I like yours, but the only one I can really think about the sleeping and the dreaming is the
what Cheers for Cheers said. Yeah, I think that's saying, because we can tell that the children are living on very little food, and I think it's saying it's been 527 days. Yeah, okay, good. I think that's how long it's been kind of taking the children apart and putting them back together and playing these silly games with them.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think it'll get bored. But
I think outside of the house, it's only been a day. I think inside the house, it's been 572 days because it's within its own time frame.
I think outside of the house, it has been 572 days. So for everybody else, life is continuing on. But if every time I take you apart and then I rewind you to you 15 minutes ago, put you in a loop, you're not exactly going to age, are you?
No, but I mean, outside the house, you think if it'd been that long, they'd come in. People would break down the walls to this house.
We don't know what their family life was like, or these kids, if they're even in school or anything.
Nobody's paying rent.
If they even have rent. I also think it might have blipped them into another dimension or something too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's in its own time.
Possibly.
Dimension. I don't think that people outside walking by this house knows what's going on because if it was their yard was so out of control and their bills weren't being paid, regardless if they have rent or not, you still have to pay your home insurance.
But how do you know? Okay, like here's an example. You know the end of Krampus, right? Krampus puts them in like snow globes where they're stuck in a time loop for forever, where they have to live Christmas morning every single day. That is their torture. This is kind of like that. Like, I think this entity has them in sort of like a snow globe. When you see the house, there's no houses around it. There's no streets. There's nothing. It's just a house by itself. It might as well be one of those snow globes. So, yes, it's been 572 days, but they're in their own, like, reality now.
Yeah, I don't think if you went into the real house, you'd find them. I think they're in a different dimension.
If the real house even exists. They could be, like, you know, like a cookie or something.
Yeah.
You know, like in Black Mirror.
Well, then, yeah, but it'd be a cookie of a real house.
I'm just saying I don't know if there's even a house there to look at. They might have taken the house and everything.
Yeah. Just a random blank.
I think I'm giving this movie way too much thought.
Maybe. Which a lot of us have been guilty to do. I've seen a lot of people's endings explained that, you know, are a good hour long.
Damn it.
Anyways, you got the hiccups.
Thank you. Oh, what does Chifir say?
This is part of why I like it, huh? See, there's so many theories can really... Exactly. I don't think too many people are wrong. I think...
Except for the coma one. He can't be in a coma.
I think you just really need to pay attention to get some of those pieces before you make a solid case for your theory. I don't think anybody's theory is necessarily wrong.
Except for the coma one.
It's art.
It's wrong.
That's why I say this movie really does pass as art. I don't know how much it passes for your standard day cinema, but it passes as art.
I think it's artsy fartsy.
Someone pull those kids' fingers. Maybe they just need to fart real bad and then they'll get out of there.
Dude, that'd be cool if we could just disappear like that.
Right. All right, well, I think we'll be back here soon to talk about a shark movie. An Alicia Silverstone shark movie.
It is my pet monster!
Yep, she got my pet monster, and I went with spooky Calvin and Hobbes, because we're going with childhood stuff, and trying to be creepy about it. How you doing, Alberta Strength? Do you live in Alberta? I wrestled in Alberta.
Maybe their name's Alberta.
I know, that's why I was asking a question. I don't know. Well, that's enough for this. It's a childhood rhyme, and I don't think there is...
I tease Cheers for Fears, but dude, think about it. Dad took Kevin to the hospital. Like, don't you think they would have... Okay, actually, here's what I'll say, Cheers for Fears. I'm ruling out that the kid has a concussion, because they would have caught that.
Nah. Hold on. Okay. The only reason why I have to debunk that is this is clearly taking place a long time ago. Concussion protocol didn't come into around 2004?
You can still tell if the kid has a concussion.
Yeah.
They knew what concussions were in the 80s.
They didn't think they were as bad as they did now.
They can still tell if they have one, just because they didn't know how bad it was.
I'm just saying he might have went home, they might have given him some pain medicine, he fell asleep, and now he's bleeding out his brain.
You're crazy.
The 80s were different, man.
What I was trying to say, maybe he's in a coma, and in his brain, he thinks they went home. And okay, so maybe he's in a coma. But you know what? I like my idea better.
The dad might have been downplaying it. Like, I mean, yeah, he didn't need stitches. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a concussion.
I also do. There is a whole theory people say where the kids are being abused. And it's basically trying to show the fear of being locked in the house, you know, with your parents. Because you can't get away. They're your caregivers. You're at their mercy. And, you know, they do control everything from, you know, when you get a shit. To, you know, a lot of the stuff adds up if you think about it in a child abuse kind of way.
Yeah.
Which is really scary, but it does fit really well.
Yeah, there's theories about that, and Kaylee was like, she was stabbed prior to this, and maybe the mom left and other stuff. I don't know.
Well, when she's trying to talk to the mom and the mom won't respond, it seems kind of like the mom that doesn't do anything when you're getting beaten by dad.
That also works, too. Yeah, there's a lot of good theories out there. You got to pay good attention, though. That's all I'm asking, because I think some people have their theories and they didn't catch some stuff, is all. Basically think they ripped off the Ron Howard episode of Twilight Zone and the episode Buffy the Baseball Kid. I don't know.
He's saying, is it more Twilight Zone or that Buffy episode? The Buffy kid is in a coma. So, yes, I think it's more Twilight Zone, where I think it's an evil entity that's playing with them.
Yeah. But there's other theories that think the other way.
That's my theory.
Yeah, I know. That's not just a horror. That's not just a theory. It's a
Oh,
horror
look, I got
theory.
Chucky headband too.
Horror theory. Boom. A horror hypothesis. There we go. Last 3 movies on Shudder kind of suck, and one is extremely weird. Well, what movies did you watch on Shudder? Some of them are really good. I don't know.
The last 3 exclusives.
Oh, exclusives.
You gotta read the whole comment, hon.
I missed that.
I think that's what they're talking about. The last 3 movies on Shudder. They do an exclusive every week. So that would be Skinamarink.
I don't just watch
Burial.
And Sorry for the Demon.
Yeah, Sorry for the Demon. They got like a special one every week.
Yeah, I just don't watch them in that order. Like, I watch a lot of different ones.
Yeah, but some people look forward to it. Like, it's Friday, I'm getting a new Shudder movie.
I liked last Friday. We got new drive-in, last drive-in, and I loved that.
Me too. It was cool. Dan cried.
Necromance.
He was so moved by Necromantic.
That climax at the end, I tell you, brings a tear to your eye.
First 3 rows, get wet.
Yeah, that's what they have a part 2, but they need to make a part 3D. All right. Anyways, we're going off there. Skinamarink. It's a nightmare.
Oh yeah, the Third Man, I think. Yeah, I didn't see Sorry About the Demon or that one.
But
I do want to see Burial. That looks kind of cool.
I've been just working on the Oscars for the most part, so we're gonna get those votes out. Anyways, we'll be right back with the Requin, the White Shark,
Requin?
Cut.